say tender yes to everything that comes to me. My heart is open, I am free. I open to all that is, it brings me to my knees. I surrender.
Please pray with me. As I stand in this sacred space, and I know it is sacred because Spirit lives within me. It lives within each and every person, every rock, every tree, flower, furry four-legged one, creepy crawly, the winged ones. All of it, everything seen and unseen is Spirit. And as I connect with that one inside myself, I feel it emanate and envelop every cell. And as I know this for myself, I know too that every person, whether they be on a mountaintop, a synagogue, or the guys on the golf course this morning, however your path takes you, it takes you closer to Spirit. And I am just so grateful for this time and this space and this place, for every person in this room and for every person hearing our message online. I know that what I do touches the souls and the hearts of people around me. My one small pebble makes a large ripple. And together, as we raise our voices and our hearts and our minds, our consciousness in the same direction, we create impact. We create love. And love being the highest word for God, I just bless this service with love. And I say thank you to everyone that had a hand in creating this service and everyone who is listening. I know that we all go through this service and hear the message of Reverend Michelle and take away that which serves us. So I just say thank you, and I bless this service knowing that it is all good, it is all God. And together we say, and so it is. Today. The first comes from Alexander Graham Bell. Concentrate all of your thoughts upon the work at hand. Remember, the sun's rays do not burn until brought to focus. Dr. Wayne Dyer. Absolutely. Sorry about that. Do you want me to do it again? Okay. My first quote is Alexander Graham Bell. Concentrate all of your thoughts upon the work at hand. Remember, the sun's rays do not burn until brought to focus. And from Dr. Wayne Dyer, from I Can See Clearly Now. Create a knowing within that banishes all doubt. Live from your highest self and respect your eternal divinity. And last, from our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes. Put quite simply, we are to look for God in each other and love this God, forgetting all else.
Beautiful music. And thank you, Leslie, for being on the platform and supporting this service this afternoon. Almost said morning, but it is afternoon. It is so good to be with you today. As Carol mentioned, I was thinking about it this past week, and it's been 2 years since I've been with you guys. And you all have been through a little bit of change in that time. But I was so grateful for the invitation from Reverend Jen to be with you today and to give her an opportunity to, simply be and connect with loved ones and connect with nature, and the opportunity to just take a day off. We all need a day off once in a while. It supports the flow. It supports our well-being. And so I'm just grateful to be here today, and the talk theme that you guys have been focusing on this month is going further together. I had to think about it. Going further together. And Reverend Jen asked me to talk today about the topic of digging deep. And so I was thinking about going further together, your overall theme of the month. It brought to mind the importance of community and how there's so many various levels of community. There's community, your spiritual community right here. Perhaps there's your neighborhood community that you're a part of. Maybe there's a work community. Perhaps there's a school community or another community that you're actively engaging with in life. But sometimes going through life, we may find ourselves in periods of time where it kind of feels like we're doing things all by ourselves. We're all alone in this vast world. And we forget about the community that is all around us, the support that's right there. And so going further together, what if we take time to tap into that community that's around us? Helen Keller said, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." So being in community creates the opportunity for us to do even more of the amazing things that we came here to do. And the topic of today of digging deep, I had to sit with that one for a little bit. Like, what are we digging? What exactly is this topic about? And what came to mind was digging deep, the opportunity that we have to get off that hamster wheel of life. Sometimes, some of us, nobody here, maybe you know somebody, but we get into this space of being on autopilot. And sometimes maybe we're not even paying attention to what's going on around us because we're just focused on where we're going next. But digging deep is the opportunity for us to perhaps slow down. Maybe, explore some of the beliefs that might be getting in the way of us fully showing up in life. And it reminded me of, between going deep and connecting with community, our community, greater community of Centers for Spiritual Living, we have a vision of a world that works for everyone. And I don't know about you, but I think a world that works for everyone requires us to maybe dig a little deeper in life, to take a little bit more conscious action in our life. I don't think we can create a world that works for everyone by just coasting on the surface of life. Because sometimes when we're coasting on the surface, maybe we're not fully engaged. Maybe we're disconnected in some way. But if we're called to be here at this particular time in human history, it's an interesting time in human history. But if we're called to be here right now, and our soul said, yes, I want to be here right now, We're being called to grow together, to learn. In this time, this fall season that we're in the middle of, there is so much change and transformation going on right around us. Whether we're paying attention to it or not, there's change happening. And for some of us, there's even change happening within our lives. And so if we create that space to slow down, perhaps we can create intentional change that we want to see. And perhaps we'll be able to go through life not reacting to change that's happening, but consciously responding to it. And I know to dig deep for myself, it's about letting go of things that no longer serve me, whether it's a belief, a story, anything that might be in the way of me being able to fully show up as who I came here to be. That requires work. It's not always comfortable work. But they say that change is inevitable, growth is optional. I don't know about you, but I would like to grow, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable in the moment, because I don't want to just keep repeating, old patterns, especially those old patterns that aren't serving me. And so, I know you're wondering, well, what do we do to dig deep? Glad you asked. Because I thought of three practices that can support us in digging deep, in exploring, our life, and engaging in our life in a more conscious way, and engaging in life around us in a more conscious way. So my first practice that you get to, if you so choose, practice this week, is take time to slow down. How many of you have taken time to witness the changing of the leaves, the colors, the leaves falling? They're still intact, thank goodness right now. But oh my goodness, just driving down the road. You don't have to even go up to the mountains. I'm sure that is even more spectacular. But just driving here this afternoon, just seeing the colors are just so magnificent. But sometimes we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that we don't even notice the leaves changing around us. And now, that's not, to judge ourselves or get down on ourselves for. It's just something to notice. Have I noticed the leaves change around me the last few weeks? Or have I been caught up in, where I need to get to next? Or maybe something big that's going on in my life that I haven't even noticed? Perhaps that's something that you might want to do as you leave this afternoon. Just notice the colors on the trees. There's something magical about it. I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know, because I didn't think about it when I was younger, that's for sure. It's like, colors of the trees? Cool. But now there's this majesty, there's this amazingness that witnessing it brings. Now, if you're driving, be mindful, because it could be easily catch you off guard, and I want you to be paying attention to the road. Or you can pull over to the side. But just notice the beauty around you. Eckhart Tolle said, "Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Make the now the primary focus of your life." One of the gifts that I think that we've experienced, many of us, during this pandemic time has been the opportunity to slow down. Now, for many of us, it was forced slowing down. And perhaps we noticed some resistance in the beginning. But as time went on, we were able to, connect with nature more. We took time to spend time with family, with friends, maybe to reconnect with a creative project that we had on the back burner. We took time to connect with the arts, maybe connect with cooking. Maybe you experienced and explored something new during this time of slowing down. Some people, according to Facebook, have found this amazing experience creating the best sourdough bread. Anybody here creating sourdough bread in the last few months? Okay, which is great. But when we're so busy, caught up in that hamster wheel of life, sometimes we put those opportunities on the back burner. You know, we're caught up in our to-do list, and sometimes, I don't know about you, but it feels like my to-do list keeps getting longer, and no matter how much I get done, it just never ends, you know? But in this time of slowing down, perhaps we've had an opportunity to reconnect with ourselves in a deeper way, to reconnect with spirit. And over the last 20 months, I feel like there have been more and more people who have perhaps reevaluated their priorities. They've reevaluated and shifted things and realized or made the conscious decision that I don't want to go back to that pace that I was working at before. What if I create more balance in my life and consciously slow down a little bit so that I can actually experience life as it's happening? We don't want to experience life in the rearview mirror. And sometimes when we're so focused on where we're going next, what's coming up next, what meeting we have to get to, what event we have to get to, we miss out on the beauty that's all around us. Nanette Matthews says, if you're always racing to the next moment, what happens to the moment you're in? Slow down and enjoy the moment you're in and live your life to the fullest. So taking time to slow down creates the opportunity for us to consciously co-create with Spirit. Because we're co-creating with Spirit whether we're consciously doing it or not, through our words, through our thoughts, through our actions. But when we slow down, when we create the space for us to even turn within through spiritual practice, or just simply sitting in the silence in nature, we're able to tune into that still small voice, which is the voice of our soul, the voice of Spirit that is guiding us to our next step. But when we pick up the pace and we're so focused on what's next, sometimes we miss it. We miss that inner guidance. So this week I invite you to experiment with it. We're religious scientists. We're scientists because we experiment. See what works for you. So the second practice, remember who you are. Now, let's see. This is a piece of my favorite quote from Marianne Williamson. She said, "You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same." Remembering who we are, for some of us, it might be easier said than done. Because remembering who we are, that requires us to slow down. Because sometimes in that fast pace of life, it's easy for those old beliefs, those false tapes. We all know what tapes are, correct? That's a thought that came to mind the other day. I'm like, does everybody know what a tape is? Okay. Those old tapes that play automatically. Perhaps an old tape might be, you're not good enough, or you're not worthy. Or maybe an old tape is, who do you think you are to accomplish that? Or maybe it's, you're broken, so no one will ever love you. In order to remember who we are, we have to take the time to maybe disconnect those tapes. Maybe we can re-record some new tapes. I don't think tapes exist anymore, but you know what I mean. Create some new self-talk in our minds that support us in being and remembering the magnificence that we came here to be. Because we're all incarnations of that one life, that God life. We're all magnificent beings here to co-create an extraordinary world together, here to experience God moving, expressing through us. And those old beliefs, those old tapes just tend to get in our way of being willing to fully show up and stand in the truth of who we are. And so what if, just like the leaves, the trees are letting go of the leaves right now in order to create space for the new buds that are going to appear in the next few months? What if we release those old beliefs in order to create space for something new, for a new experience to emerge? Oprah Winfrey said, "Your journey begins with a choice to get up, step out, and live fully." What if we remember who we are, and then that allows us to remember who each and every person around us is? It creates the space for us to remember their divinity, to see their light. I know sometimes, some people, nobody here, but for some people, it's easier to see the light in somebody else, to see the magnificence in somebody else, than it is to see in ourselves. Anybody else have that experience? You don't have to raise your hand. But here's the thing. You would not be able to see the magnificence in somebody else if it didn't already exist within you. Because we're all mirrors. We're here to reflect back to one another the truth of who we are, the divine light that is so brilliantly shining within us. That divine light that we sometimes hide away. But what if we allowed that light to shine even brighter? As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously allow others to do the same. So as we stand in our brilliance, we're giving other people permission to stand in theirs. The third practice that I invite you into this week to dig deep is to reach out. Now this one, it's kind of a 2-for-1 because there's 2 elements to this part of reaching out. The first one is it's important for us to reach out if we need support. I know for me, that has been one thing that has been a growing edge for me because I had an old belief that if I reached out for support, that meant that I'm weak and that I couldn't figure it out on my own. And I've had to, reconfigure, to reframe that belief because the reality is, reaching out for support takes tremendous courage. And there's support all around us. So to reach out to someone who is willing to support us right where we are, and maybe the support that we need is just somebody to listen. And as we're sharing whatever it is that we're going through, creating that space opens us up to the insights for our next step. So reach out for support. It is definitely a strength rather than a vulnerability. But even the word vulnerable, I used to have the belief that being vulnerable was a weakness. But now I see vulnerability, again, as a strength. If we're willing to fully show up as who we are in this world, that takes a willingness to be vulnerable, a willingness to be authentic. That takes tremendous courage. And sometimes we might get some people thinking that maybe we should dim our light. But that's not what we came here to do. In order to grow, we have to shine our light so that other people who might need our support can see it. So reaching out for support. Brené Brown said, "We don't have to do it all alone. We were never meant to." So the second piece of reaching out is reaching out to someone in kindness. Maybe reaching out to someone to let them know that you're thinking about them. One of the things that I've loved during this pandemic is early on, there was, I don't know who created it, but someone created a group on Facebook called the Kindness Pandemic. And it is full of stories of people around the world who are experiencing acts of kindness, whether it's random acts of kindness or intentional acts of kindness. It's everything from somebody creating this makeshift library of food and supplies. It's not called a library, but a space in their neighborhood where they can get food and supplies that they needed. To somebody else who, sees somebody at the grocery store, somebody that they don't know, but who needs something, whether it's toilet paper early on in the pandemic, and somebody offering to share theirs. Or somebody, seemingly randomly paying for somebody else's groceries. We are here to uplift and support one another. But again, oftentimes we feel so isolated sometimes, so all alone. So what if this week you reached out to someone and you just said hello, said, "I was thinking about you." Or you're in the store, the grocery store this week, and you smile at someone. We have no idea the ripple effect that can have in somebody else's life. I know that I've had experiences where I felt like, I was barely treading water, just trying to keep moving forward, and somebody reached out just to check in. And that act of kindness just changed the trajectory of my day. And it reminded me that I'm not alone. And so as we reach out for support, it's kind of a twofer, because we reach out and the support might uplift somebody else's day or their week, maybe even their year, but it also uplifts us as well. Robert Ingersoll said, "We rise by lifting others." So when we take time to reach out, take that conscious effort, it requires us to slow down, and it requires even just a moment, even holding the door open for someone. That simple act can just change somebody else's day. So I invite you this week to just see where you might be able to reach out to someone, make a difference in somebody else's life, and see what it does to yours. So your invitations this week to dig deep, if you so choose to accept them, is to try one of these practices and to see what happens. See if it creates a space for you to grow. See if it creates a space for you to show up, to shine your light a little bit brighter. The first one, take time to slow down. Maybe spend some time with a friend or a family member, or simply take time to slow down and notice the beauty of nature all around us. Remember who you are. Perhaps there's an old belief that you're ready to let go of. And maybe this week you want to journal about it so that you can fully let it go. Or maybe this week you want to just shine your light, turn up the volume of your light a little bit, and show up with authenticity in an even greater way with everybody that you interact with. Or the third opportunity, which is a twofer, reach out. If you can use some support, reach out. I know that there are practitioners here. There's an amazing body of practitioners here who are willing to support you right where you are, to simply listen. Or you can reach out to a friend or a family member. Or the other opportunity to reach out is reach out in kindness. Maybe there's something that you've been feeling called to do to support a neighbor, to support a friend. Or maybe there's something that you're called to do this week when you're at the grocery store. But listen in for an opportunity to reach out and to share an act of kindness with somebody else. We're here to create a world that works for everyone, but it requires us to get off the hamster wheel of life, to turn off autopilot, and to fully be open to the life that is happening right before us. Creating the space to allow Spirit to guide our every step. Because we're here to express that divinity. And we're here to uplift one another in order to allow each and every one of us to shine our magnificent gifts in the world. Because the gifts that we came here to shine, to share, only we can do that. And so if we turn off that light, the world's missing out on your brilliance. So this week, digging deeper in order for us to go further together, let's allow our light to shine. Let's open the door for Spirit to guide us to our next perfect step. And let us recognize the divine in each and every person that we interact with. So let's go ahead and turn within. So in this very moment, we can feel that divine presence that is right here, right now. That divine life that moves in, through, and around all of creation, fully expressing itself as peace, love, truth, possibility. And I know that each and every person in this space and each and every person that hears my voice this week, we're all connected to that divine one. We are here for a divine purpose to allow that divinity to shine forth, to co-create with Spirit in magnificent ways. And so this week, we allow ourselves to take time to slow down, to see the beauty that is happening all around us, to be a part of life fully right now. We allow ourselves to remember that divine truth of who we are and who we came here to be. And we are supported and uplifted every step of the way. And as we allow our light to shine, we allow the lights of others to shine even brighter. We uplift, we support, we empower one another to shine our unique light, to share our unique gifts in the world. And I know that our light, our life, is divinely blessed. We are supported every step of the way. And I know that God is right here, right now, always. And so I just give great thanks for the blessings that each one of us bring into the world. I give great thanks for this truth that we are anchored in. I give great thanks for this highest vision of a world that works for everyone, that we are a part of. And I give great thanks for this amazing New Dawn community. And I just release these words, knowing that they are already done as they are spoken. And I let God do God's work. And so it is.
Accepting all I've done and said, want to stand and will hear your silent call. I will touch this tender wall till I know I'm home again.
Hello, I'm Reverend Jen Wild, Senior Minister for New Dawn Center for Spiritual Living. New Dawn Center is a global community, and we welcome all people, all paths, all ways of thinking, all philosophies. So know that you are welcome here, and thank you for joining our online community.